blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry, one artist at a time.
Hey folks, this is Michael Bate from the Michael Bate Band, coming to you live from Blast Music 247 Blaster Podcast episode. Are you ready for this? Episode number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this will never, ever happen again. Episode number 1. And I am so humbled and honored to have the opportunity to hang out with someone who I consider a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tim Steinruck from The Mighty One.
Yes, brother, yeah!
Oh, man, give me some. Dude,
Whoa! Here we are, number 1, dude.
Number
That's crazy.
1. Never again will this moment in time ever happen, ever.
And both of us hosts on this illustrious show, which is kind of cool, you know.
Yeah, so I guess I opened for you. Next
time I'll open for you. You know, yeah, it's a co-headline situation.
Oh, right on.
On the right, on the left, doesn't matter.
Yeah, all good, brother. I'm so happy that finally someone made us do this. We've been trying to do this for a while. You're a busy guy, but someone finally made us sit down and chat. Thank goodness.
Yeah, the boys at Blast, Troy and the boys at Blast, amazing guys, and been working hard for big records, been working hard for all of us, giving us all the opportunity to get our message out there. And here we are. It's getting personal now, baby.
Yeah, I agree. They work hard. I will say Troy from Blast is the reason why I am a member of Big Records. So that's a story for another time. Okay. Brother, we're going to hang out. We're going to go past, present, future, maybe a good hour or so. I don't know. We're going to see where we land. But before we get into like the questions, right? First of all, where are you right now in the universe? You've been on the road.
Yeah, I'm still on the road, man. It's been a couple of months of craziness, but right now I'm in Nanaimo, British Columbia. It's on Vancouver Island.
Okay.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place. You know, to finance this whole rock and roll journey, we all have to work. As you know, you're a corporate guy. I see you doing corporate stuff, and I'm kind of doing a corporate thing right now. I'm doing video production in Nanaimo for BC Sports. So the kids are all getting near the end of high school and heading into college, and so this is all the top athletes in British Columbia are all here in Nanaimo, track and field. So all the track and field events, and I'm doing the video production.
Oh my goodness, jack of all trades. So you've been traveling, I know, which is awesome. So I know that whenever I travel, typically you watch movies, you listen to music, things like that. So what have you been listening to? What kind of bands have you been listening to in your travels? And any good movies you've been watching while you're traveling?
Well, movies, I mean, last night, honestly, because last night was the 80-year anniversary of D-Day, right? So the invasion of Normandy, France, or sorry, I should say, the liberation of France, right? So that was kind of a big deal because, as you know, I was there in 2022 with Rise Up TV, and I actually got to play on the beach and wrote a song for the beach. So I got this deep connection to D-Day and to our veterans, right? I'm doing a lot of work with veterans right now. I can tell you stories forever about that. But as far as movies go, the movie I saw last night was a Michael Caine movie
Ooh.
Brand new BBC Films movie, and it was called The Escaper, and
Ooh.
yeah, so it's Michael Caine, 90 years old. He's a veteran. He's in an old folks' home with his wife, and he really wants to go to this D-Day celebration. He's in England. He wants to go to this D-Day celebration because he was on the beach back on June 6, 1944. So, anyways, the old folks' home was supposed to organize for him to go. It fell apart. He couldn't go. So he goes MIA. He goes MIA on them. He disappears. He makes his own way over to France, and all of the adventures that happened. I mean, he ends up becoming this huge news phenomenon, and it was a touching movie. And the coolest part was, I was in the theater all by myself. Myself. I sat in the theater, in the middle of the theater. It had seats that were like these big recliners. You could actually recline.
Oh, yeah.
You're the ones. And so I watched this movie. I laughed. I cried a lot, actually. I'm not scared to say that. I don't mind.
No.
I cried a lot. It was deeply emotional. It was a sacred experience. What can I say, man? That movie is going to stick to me for a long time.
So Michael Caine performed privately for you. That's pretty impressive. A legend in Michael Caine. Yes.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Oh,
it was incredible. And then you were asking about music, and honestly, I'm listening to so much music right now because I'm one of the judges for the ISSAs. So
yes, you are.
There's all of that music. And then I was in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, and I made lots of connections with a lot of new artists that I want to collaborate with, including yourself.
Yeah.
But a lot, and so I'm listening to their music. So I'm always listening to what's right in front of me. Honestly, that's what I'm listening to. To.
Yeah, you usually travel. That's one of the good things about travels. Typically, you have time to pass the time a little bit. So mediums, movies, whatever. That's awesome. It's good to hear that you're listening to some new music. That's phenomenal. So they say that time travel is impossible, right, Mr. Steinruck? They say it's impossible. However, music, we all know, is the only true form of time travel. So we're going to get back in our Wayback Machines. We're going to go back a little bit, and I'd like you to think, if you could, can you tell me, do you have the very first memory, whatever age it might have been, when you not only heard music, but actually listened to music? And what I mean by that is, hearing is a sense that we all have, but listening is a completely different skill. Do you have a memory of the first time you listened to music and really got some sort of a message, a story, something like that?
Oh, the very first experience.
You have a memory? Yeah.
Yeah, the very first experience, I'd have to say, was because we had a record player growing up, right? And we had one of those, those big console ones, the ones with the you open the top, and there was the vinyl, and there was the radio and the speakers on both sides, right? So one of those coffee table, I call it coffee table record player type of thing, right? Anyways, it was one of those, and the earliest memory I can remember, besides putting vinyls on, was that it had a shortwave on that radio.
Oh.
And my parents, when we lived in northern British Columbia, and on cold winter nights, you could actually pick up Europe on that radio.
What year was this roughly? What year would this have been roughly?
I would say 69, 70.
Oh, okay. Well, there was some good stuff coming across from the pond at that point.
Yeah. So it was either England or Germany, but we were listening to this. We heard I think it was England. Now that I think about it, I think it was England because they had the bells going at the time, because it was morning there and it was late night where we were. Yep. And then they played. Yes, they did. They played the British national anthem. That's what it was. And it was the Queen. The Queen was speaking. So it was God Save the Queen, and the Queen was speaking. That's why we were on the shortwave. So that was the first music I ever heard.
Oh my goodness.
God Save the Queen.
God Save the Queen. So it changed a little bit after that, I would imagine. But that is your first. That is, I don't think I ever would have thought you would have said that. But that's why we're here. We're trying
Well,
to peel back, Mister.
I've never been asked that before, and I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
But the first record that I really got into, honestly, was ABBA. Yeah, everybody was
ABBA.
into ABBA, and so that was
Now, how
was
does
the first
ABBA
record.
penetrate, Canada? How does that work?
Well, see, the German folks, they really like to, they liked party music, right? And so ABBA was huge at the time. It was huge, so that's when we were listening to ABBA. Yeah, so Dancing Queen, all that stuff.
Of course. Yeah,
Awesome.
right on. All right, so that's your first memory of like listening, listening to music. Do you have an early memory of starting to write? Like, when did you create your own thoughts that you thought, oh my goodness, if I put this poem I'm writing into music, it creates this thing called a song. So when were you first starting to write music? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I was 10 years old. It was my birthday party. And we had a reel-to-reel recorder with a microphone, one of those little pencil mics, right? And so for fun, we decided that we would make our own radio show. See, this ties back in. That's why I was in love with radio already at that point. So we made our own radio show, and we wrote some kind of a stupid little song. I have no idea.
You know the words. You know a couple words. Come on, man. You watch Spinal Tap. They divulged their first song. Cry, cry, cry all the way home. You know your words. What were a couple words?
What does the Goob say? The Goob says, as a kid, I used to play the Last of the Mohicans soundtrack on cassette over and over.
Right on.
Nice. Yeah, I used to love the cassettes, man. Yeah, so that's what I remember: the birthday party and making that little radio show and making up a stupid little song that was kind of like the intro to the show,
Yeah. Well, that recording's somewhere. I'm sure you recorded it somewhere.
My parents probably still have it. I should definitely try to dig that up. I should try. You know how weird it is. You know how weird it is to hear yourself when you're like 10 years old, like you're recording back. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I had a relative who was a recording artist back in the 70s, and he would record me on the cassette, just practicing and songs. And I found one of those cassettes at like age 4 or 5. Singing songs, but I always had like allergies and I was nasally, and it was just this incredibly fun, awful performance. And I was just belting out these songs for Christmas. And yeah, it's weird to hear yourself. I completely agree. All right. So God, now you're writing music back then. So I did read somewhere, I did a little bit of research, of course. And I read somewhere that you had mentioned that at around age 13, I think you kind of were like, okay, like I think I want to do something in music or something musically related. Do you remember why? Why 13? Was there an event? Did something happen that kind of just made it click? I want to be a rock star.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I grew up in the church. My dad was the organist in the church, right? So I was exposed to music all the time, and my dad played the organ every night, and my mom would sing, and we would all, have to sing. There wasn't much entertainment for us. We didn't have TV or nothing, so that was it, right? So, anyways, and started singing in the church, and we did these specials on Sundays, right? Before the sermon. So, when I turned 13, though, this German kid moved into the neighborhood. And he was a little older than me, but he brought like records like Uriah Heep and Sweet and Nazareth.
Nazareth.
Yeah, dude. And
wow.
so I'm like, whoa, rock and roll. I like this, right? And I put down the bass guitar and I said, Dad, I want an electric guitar. So I got like an SG and an amplifier and stuff. And when we started going into town, I'd heard about this band called Kiss. A friend of mine had a Kiss record, Kiss Alive, and I was totally in love with it. And so I would go to the hardware store, the department store, and I would look at the cover of Destroyer, and I'd be going like, oh man, that is so cool. I wonder what this sounds like,
Yeah.
And yeah, one day I just, I'm not super proud of it, but one day I walked out of the store with that record. I didn't stick it under my jacket, nothing. I just walked out because I'd looked at that thing probably 8 or 10 times. As far as I was concerned, it was mine already. Yeah, I didn't have the money to buy it, but you know what? I was in love with Kiss. Kiss was my band. I was their guy, and I just walked out of there with that, and it became kind of my dirty little secret because I would never play it live over the speakers. It would only be on my headphones, and I kind of tucked it away all the time.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
Once I heard the Kiss, then I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
All right. Well, we are going to touch on Kiss more. Trust me. This is not the only time we're going to talk about Kiss. I do believe it's time to play one of your songs. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Steinruck from The Mighty One.
Whoa, yeah. When I was just 13, when rock and roll was king, that's when I joined the Kiss Army. Destroyer in my hand, the cover dark and glam, it lit a flame inside of me. I wanna see the light, I wanna feel the flames. Whoa, yeah, burning, burning, whoa.
Oh, hell freaking yes.
And it's all true. And it's all true.
So we just learned where that torch started, how it started. I mean, here's one interesting thing. We just had a conversation about this, right? So you were telling me a story. We heard your song. It's the story you just told me, but in song form. That is what a storyteller does. You just told the story musically. Where'd you get that video? Who did that video?
So that's my friend Kenji Rodriguez. He's actually in Mexico now, and you know what the cool thing is, Michael, is we have a comic book based on that video that is coming out in September. An actual old school comic book.
No one told me this at the meetings, the Monday night meetings. No one told me this. Oh my goodness, that's coming out in September.
Yeah, in September. Yeah, so there's that. It's coming out, and we actually have two other. The two next editions are already in process right now. So it's going to be a comic book series. It's kind of an interesting story because it starts off obviously with that, and it's a comic book version of that. But as you saw in the video, this kid who was me goes and has this illuminating experience of purpose, right? And his alter ego, the Mighty One, which is kind of my alter ego, is created. So, but in the next two editions, this Mighty One, really he becomes a superhero, and he grabs another league of superheroes around him, and his main objective is to save humanity's soul from the digitization of the human soul by AI.
Machines are coming, brother.
But the weird thing is, I wrote that concept over 3 years ago before AI was even really in my consciousness. And so now that it's here, it's like, whoa, that's crazy.
Is life imitating art, right? Not art imitating life. That's life imitating art, right?
There's even a bigger twist to the whole thing, though. I'm using AI to write the new edition.
Yeah. We're gonna get him. We're gonna win at the end.
I'm fighting AI from the inside.
Oh my goodness. So this is leading me down a road here. So we talked about obviously some music stuff. You're a musician mainly, right? But we talk about video production now in comic books. So the question I now have for you, pretend there was no music. Pretend just for whatever reason there was no music. You're an artist. We call ourselves artists, but typically musicians. Is there another art form that you think you would like to explore as your main form other than music? Is there one?
I think the music will always be my main form, but it sort of spreads out from there to obviously video and video production. The next big thing after this comic book, the next big thing is going to be my book. Right, I'm getting to that point in my career, in my life, where it's time to start telling my story.
Yeah.
And as you know, I also work as a coach too, as a personal coach. So there's a lot of things that I want to share about that. So yeah, I've got a title. I've basically got the outline of what that book looks like, and it's going to be called Torch of Rock and Roll: Lighting the Fire of Purpose.
Yeah, I would say at this stage, Tim, it's probably your duty to just let everyone know the story that has yet to be told. And I bet you quite a few people are going to want to hear it. And probably most notably, maybe learn a thing or two. I know you like to teach. You're a coach. I bet your story might inspire and teach some people. So I think it's time. It's time to tell your story.
Well, I love working with the next generation, and I want to be an inspiration to the next generation. There's no doubt about it. I think it's kind of our duty as we sort of become the, I guess the elders, right? You know what I mean?
Tribe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grades are coming in. I guess maybe I'm getting to that point. Right on, man. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to a little bit of 19. I'm going to tell you a quick story, which is going to lead me into a question. So 1977 for me, I was 8, and I saved my allowance, and I think it was like $2.35 or maybe $2.75, whatever it was. Went to the mall, to the record store, Merry-Go-Round. Was it Merry-Go-Round? I think that was the record stores. Yeah, I think that was what it was called. And I bought my first album of all time, and it was a similar experience to what you just described. It was Kiss Love Gun. When I saw that cover as an 8-year-old, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'd never seen. I grew up in a little town. I didn't have a stoplight in my town. I mean, there wasn't much. I didn't know what the hell that was on that cover. All I knew, like you had said, I got to have it. Brought it home. Parents took it from me, the whole thing. My brother stole it back, the whole thing. But so for me, even in my bedroom, like, there was kids, we had posters all over our bedroom walls, and I had, a lot of different posters. Philadelphia 76ers were big ones, but most of my bedroom was covered with Kiss. So they were like you, just my first love. They always were. Now, I know you have a much bigger connection to Kiss than I do, that many people don't even know. Would you please tell us a story about your connection to Kiss?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So I once I fell in love with Kiss, and once I knew what I wanted to do, I knew my purpose was to go play music. I wanted to be a rock star. Took my first trip to Vancouver with the family. I saw the city. I smelled the smell of the city, and I went, I gotta go here. And so when I got back home after that one, it was like I could not wait to leave home and go to the city. So like a couple of days after graduation, I promised my parents I'd graduate, and I did keep all my promises. So I graduated, but a couple of days later, I sold everything that I owned, grabbed my bass guitar and my amplifier and my electric guitar, and me and my friend, who we had a band together, the band was called Black Gold, because
what's the band name? Black Gold.
Black Gold, because we were from Fort St. John, and oil was the thing, right? So we were Black Gold. And so, yeah, we moved to Vancouver, and in no time at all, I was on the road, and it was, the 80s that was like 82. I mean, the 80s were great for live music. There was lots of money, and especially where we were, because of the oil money and everything. And so I was touring constantly. And we were playing like 6 nights a week in the same place. It wasn't like we had to go to different gigs. We were in the same place.
You had a residency already.
Yeah.
You had a residency.
Well, that's how it was, right? You played these cabarets, and none of the places had gear. So, part of the deal was you had a 5-ton truck full of a bunch of, par lights and a big PA and a sound man and a light man, and you just toured. And so I did that for a number of years. Got into a Van Halen tribute band. They hired me. And next thing you know, like that thing turned into touring North America. It was nuts. We were so busy with that. We fired the singer from that band because he embezzled like, I don't know, $10,000 or $20,000 from us, because he was older than us, and we had to give him our money to finance the gear that he had signed to get for us. And then we came back to town the one time, and they said, guess what? We're going to repossess your gear because we haven't received any payments. So that was the end of that band. Fired him. Then the band turned into an original band, and that was 1988 or so, we got our tape to Paul Stanley from Kiss, and next thing you know, we signed a management deal with Paul Stanley from Kiss, and it was at Polygram Records put up a bunch of money for it. We went and recorded an album with Paul. It kind of fell apart because the whole grunge thing was happening, and there was problems in the band, blah blah blah. But yeah, the whole Paul Stanley thing, that was my introduction to the real world of music and the real world of production and the real world of songwriting. That was one of the things. Paul's an incredible songwriter, right? So learning all of that stuff and learning the studio production at Kiss's studio, it changed everything. The deal, like I said, the deal didn't work out, but the lessons from that rock and roll university, man,
Oh my goodness.
You know, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness. What a way to learn. I mean, my goodness. Obviously you earned your way to that, but my goodness, what a way to learn from one of the most, important rock icons to ever walk the planet. Phenomenal story. I do believe it's time for another song. So ladies and gentlemen, may I present Tim Steinruck and the Mighty One.
Want to believe, I wanna know, I wanna breathe and let it go. We were sent here to remember how to fly, but we get so high and fall so low. I feel you here, I feel you go. Can't close my eyes, don't wanna sit, I wanna run, but can't break free. Standing at the edge of sanity, but we get so high and fall so low. I feel you here, I feel you go. Searching for the answers, but the more I learn, the less I know. Drowning in the reasons, on my knees the river flows. 'Cause we get so high and fall so low. I feel you here, I feel you go.
May I say again, oh hell freaking yes. Tell me about that song. Peaks and valleys of our lives, get so high, fall so low. Tell me about that song.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I played that. Doc, I just wanna shout out to Doc from Ecstasy Radio, brother. Thank you so much for being here.
What's up, brother man?
And Lizane from Blue Jean Booking out in Montreal. Love you so much. That's so awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. Oh no, and we made Kent cry. Oh, that's so good.
No, we were supposed to make her happy and laugh. Episode 1, we made someone cry.
Damn, that's all the way up, all the way down, maybe in between. But no, I mean, so Doc from Ecstasy actually came out he came out to Nashville.
Yep.
And he and Rebecca, his partner, came out, and they supported us on the showcase we did at the Objective. It was a music industry showcase. Like, it was very much like a Simon Cowell type situation, right? We played 2 songs, and I told the story, of So High. It's my life in a lot of ways. So I was this religious kid, and I didn't want to be part of that whole church thing anymore. And so I went out on the road, and I got pretty lost. And So High is not just about me, but observing people in poor areas of cities where they feel that getting high is a way to get sort of closer to God, really, in a lot of ways, And but every time you do that, you fall a little further down, right? Yep. So I really appreciate you playing that video and that song, because it really speaks to the sort of movement that the Mighty One is in, to be very much a socially conscious band, right? So to talk about social issues. And obviously, addiction and abuse and overdose and all of those things are huge social issues. They're rooted in mental health issues, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really what that was about. What did he say? He says Objective 24 showcase in Nashville was a night we'll never forget. Phenomenal experience. Thanks so much, brother. It truly was. And I just did a post the other day. It's the first time in a long time that I actually had butterflies before I went out on stage, because
I saw that.
It was kind of a.
You're alive, man. You're alive.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a pressure cooker, and nice to feel that way,
Oh my goodness, phenomenal. Yeah, I think I was on the show Ecstasy after you, and I think he was telling me that he was going to go to Nashville, the whole thing. I think I was right after you, if I remember.
Okay, cool.
It's hard to remember. So look, man, you get around the block a little bit, and you can tell your music. It's not always the happy campfire songs, right? There's some tough subject matter. So for someone who's been around the block a bit, what do you think your biggest challenge has been? What have you overcome? It's a tough one.
I think the biggest thing to overcome was when that whole Paul Stanley deal, when that all fell through, because we went to LA. Yeah, it was just such a ride, and getting picked up in Los Angeles by a stretch limo with a limo driver at the airport, and it says Unchained on it because that was the name of the band, and and then getting in the limo and driving down Sunset Boulevard, hanging out the top of the limo with our music just cranked, and then arriving at the hotel, and there's Paul Stanley. Hey, how's it going, boys? And he's with Samantha Fox on top of it all. She's in that video.
I remember her.
Yeah, well, she's in that video, in the Torch and Rock and Roll video.
You guys didn't notice? Oh my God.
Yeah, he was dating Samantha Fox at the time. So, anyways, he threw down his platinum visa and said, "Boys, have anything you want. It's on Polygram Records."
Oh, the good old days, huh? That's just not the way it works anymore.
No, it's
the
not.
good old days.
But then going and recording and everything, and then like we recorded all these tracks, and we recorded everything except the lead vocals. He wanted to do lead vocals last, and the singer totally hit the bed. He totally hit the bed on his vocals, and we went home to Vancouver with our tail between our legs. I left Vancouver and I was like, that's it, man. I sold everything that I owned. Again, I sold it all. And so I get home, all I've got is my van, my guitars, and a bag of clothes. And so there I am sitting on the beach.
What else?
I didn't even have a place. I didn't even have a place or nothing. And it was summertime, and I spent the summer on the beach with my acoustic guitar. And
sounds awesome.
Well, it sounds awesome, but honestly, Michael, I was in a bad way. Like,
yeah, it sounds awesome now because you made it through, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the toughest challenge for me. I got lost for probably about 10 years. I really lost myself. Really lost myself.
Well, thank goodness, obviously, you have found yourself. So I have obviously referred to you as Tim Steinruck from the Mighty One. So if you could, talk to me about the Mighty One. Who are these guys?
So the Mighty One is Bob Wagner on drums. He has been the longest running member of the Mighty One. We've been together for it's over 15 years now.
Oh wow. He's
my business partner in the band, and he and I are really the core in a lot of ways. Chris Campbell on the bass. Chris was in the band from about 2011 until 2013, and then he left for, actually it was longer than that. It was like 4 or 5 years, so 2009 or something. 2008, 2009. Anyways, and then he left the band for a while, and it was just Bob and I again. We had a few different guitar players. There was a few different bass players in between there too. Yeah. Anyways, but now it's Bob Wagner, Chris Campbell on the bass, and we've got Randy Robertson on the guitar. Randy just came down to Nashville with me. Amazing guitar player, amazing. He's been in some huge bands too that have gotten so close to major deals, but never totally pushed through. And then we've got James Meyer on the keyboards. And James and I, when the whole thing was basically, when the band Unchained, when I realized the deal was pretty well over, I started writing for myself.
Yeah.
And James, he had a piece of piano music, incredible piece of piano music. Never really quite knew what to do with it. It reminded me of November Rain. It was, it was kind of, it was influenced by that. And anyways, the one day Jeff, my drummer, my best friend, he walks into the studio because we're doing some demos for something, and he walks into the studio and he's got this really sad look on his face. And I'm going, "What's up going on, buddy?" He goes, "She's gone." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he'd been with a girlfriend for like the last 2 years or something like that. A girl he thought he was going to marry, and she dumped him, or he screwed around on her. I can't even remember exactly what happened, but it was tragic. It was tragic. And I said, "So what happened?" He says, "Well, I sent her down the road kicking stones."
Uh-oh.
And something just clicked, dude. And I went, I got to write a song about Jeff and about that saying, "down the road kicking stones." And so that's where that song came from, right? And so anyways, so that's the lineup right now. James Meyer on the keyboards, Chris Campbell on the bass, Randy Robertson on the guitar, Bob Wagner on the drums, and myself on vocals and rhythm guitar. It is honestly the very, very best lineup we have ever had. I mean, the pictures in the background here on this profile. I mean, you look at this band, you go, wow. So I'm very, very proud of what we've achieved, with this recent release. This recent release, Kickin' Stones, is absolutely blown up all over the place. I mean, worldwide. Like, it's incredible, like worldwide. I just got the numbers today. It's like 110,000 streams. You know what I mean? Like, this is in a month, right?
Yeah. It's just started.
Yeah, no, and the video is up around 65, 70,000 views, and damn, dude, we just got in Billboard magazine the other day. Billboard magazine Argentina.
So
nuts.
I will tell you quick story. So whenever Kicking Stones, whenever it first officially released, I had a bunch of friends over, and I actually projected the video on my 100-inch screen TV in my viewing room and watched that damn thing on a 100-inch screen TV, and it was phenomenal. I wish I could have filmed it because I was on my phone, so I wanted to film us watching it to send to you, but I was using my damn phone, so I couldn't film it. But you guys were on a 100-inch screen, and I had that thing freaking cranked, man.
Oh,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You know, that thank you so much for doing that. I hope that everybody really, really enjoyed that experience. I would love to see it on a 100-inch screen, but yeah.
I'm gonna do it again. My wife will take video, or I'll do it again. She'll take videos, or it just looked really, really good on that projection, man. I was so excited to do it, and I just was so stupid to forget that I didn't have another device to capture the moment. So we will capture that moment, I promise.
Well, thank you. I would love to see that, and that video came together by divine providence too. So many. I mean, the warehouse was donated, the lighting was donated. Obviously everybody donated their time for it. I had to pay the video guy a little bit, but yeah, I mean, easily if I had to pay full price for that was a $30,000 video. It's insane.
Yeah, well, obviously, all these years, that people know you, like you, trust you. This is what happens. This is what happens, right?
Yeah, it's true, but it's also the intention. So the video, or the song was written about my friend Jeff.
Yep.
About that time in 1993, but then he passed. He passed in late 2016, and he'd been struggling with stage 4 cancer for a long time, and he wasn't allowed to drink. He had the special medication that he was taking that was keeping him alive. Wasn't supposed to drink on it. Started having a couple of drinks here and there. He was, let's face it, he was an alcoholic. We all were back in the 80s. We were serious alcoholics. We were hardcore, right? So, but that never really left him, and it came back to haunt him. And so that's how he passed. And so the song has more meaning now. And when I got people to get involved to support the video, I said, this is really a video about suicide prevention.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal of this video, is to really bring conversations about mental health.
Yep.
And how mental health can lead to addiction, and how mental health can, poor mental health can lead to suicide. If it's that circle. You know what I mean? Like it's a very vicious circle. So that's really in Latin America, especially, they've embraced the song because, as some of the DJs have said to me down there from national radio in Colombia and stuff, they said, it's been a long time since we've had a meaningful, emotional power ballad. And this one is not just about, it's not just about rock and roll. It's not just a rock and roll story. It is, but it's more than that. And so let's get those conversations going about mental health and suicide awareness. Let's get those conversations going, because let's face it, since the pandemic, people are struggling. Right? So,
yeah, it was definitely a rough time. So when did you actually write that song? Was it written a long time ago?
1993.
That's when you actually wrote it, and you're just now releasing it now. Okay. You wrote it that far. So that's been sitting. So that's obviously a song that's tough. Probably you had to write it, right? Music is our therapy. I use music as my therapy as a hashtag.
Yes.
You had to write it. But maybe it just wasn't time to release it. But obviously now was the time, because look what's happening.
Yeah. Like I said, we wrote it around the time when grunge was first coming out. And then, we haven't really had a classic rock revolution since then. But we're having one now.
Oh, hell yeah, we are. Right on, man. Well, speaking about rock and roll revolution, you were just on, I believe, a tour. Right? That's where you've been going for quite the Extreme tour, correct?
Well, I haven't been on the Extreme tour yet. So the objective was to go down to find out about the Extreme Tour and to meet the people that are involved in the Extreme Tour and see if they like me, see if I like them. But in September, we will start the Extreme Tour, and it's a worldwide tour. These guys tour all over the place, but it's not your typical tour because it's all about hitting places where there's underserved communities. Like for instance, I got a taste of it in Nashville after the Objective. After the last day, we went to an area. It's kind of like the Projects in Nashville, very poor area. We set up a stage, and we had some food. We had chicken and ice cream, and they brought some toys for the kids, and just really blessed that community in a big way. And so I got to see what these guys do. So it's really about bringing hope and bringing a message of hope and a message of caring and bringing love to parts of the world that don't have a lot of hope and don't get a lot of love. That's what the Extreme Tour is about. So I'm going to go and join them. I'm going to join them in September and do a couple weeks in the Oregon area. And and then maybe join them over in the UK. Maybe they'll come to Canada. I mean, this is wide open because it's financed by philanthropy from the music industry. So it's a very, very interesting concept.
Okay, so starting in Oregon. Okay, so when will you know kind of where you're going to land? Is it kind of a spur of the moment? Hey, dude, we need you in wherever. Like you got to hop on a plane and get going. How does that work?
I should know soon. I mean, we just sort of wrapped up. We just wrapped up everything from the Objective. So now the next thing is getting this tour going. So I should have some news on that soon.
Oh, right on. So in a year, I mean, let's say in a calendar year, how many months do you think you're going to be out, coming up? Do you think you're going to be touring more? Is that something that's getting bigger, more prominent? 6 months a year? I don't know. How long do you think you're going to be out on the road during the year?
Well, I mean, we'll take as many shows as we can get. We'll tour in as many places as we can go to. Yeah. Lazane, who's on the call here in Montreal, she's invited us out there for 2025. I would imagine things are going to start getting pretty busy for us.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, with what's happening in Latin America and South America, I can see a tour happening out of that very soon, if not as early as the end of this year. So in November. And we're supposed to go to India in November. We're going to meet you down in Atlanta.
Oh my goodness, Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be at the ISSAs. We're headlining the ISSAs.
Yep.
And Eric and Rebecca from Ecstasy are going to be there. So
yeah, right on.
The family's all getting together with Tammany. She's pulling out ready together, Southern hospitality.
Yep.
And
I gotta say, I'm excited for this one. Like I'm the newbie, right? I've never been to ISSA, and I got to be honest. Whenever I started listening to all of the music, especially with Rick and the Rick Spin Show and all the music, I got to say, Tim, it was daunting. The talent level, the talent pool that I listened to, it's daunting, and it's either going to make or break you. There was a part of me that says, I don't want nominated. I don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm going to wait. And then I thought, you know what? The hell with that. I'm going for it. I want to see if I can get there. I will be there in Atlanta with you to meet, of course, the Big Records family and the Blast family, all the different families. You have a lot more families than I do, but I have quite a few families that I can't wait to meet down there in Atlanta the weekend of August 24th weekend.
Correct. Yeah.
I am so excited just because now everyone's kind of like avatars and like people on a screen. I want to, hug and squeeze and smooch and, all my people down there. So I'll be there. I can't wait, man.
I can't wait to meet you in person down there too, brother. We've been talking so much, and like you say, we're part of the same family here at Blast and part of the same family at Big Records, and we've got so many things in common. So yeah, this is going to be like a big family reunion. And it's going to be exciting. And honestly, you asked about touring. I think this is just the opening salvo of what is going to be an epic couple of years of touring for us.
Yeah. So when you're on tour, let me ask you this: what do you think is the most fun part about being on tour? And then obviously, what's just awful? There's got to be something awful.
Well, I mean, being on the stage is always great, right? I think that's the most fun.
Yeah.
You know, I love traveling, but you know, after you get about gig 8, 9, 10 in that zone, it kind of you start to go, okay, it's a little bit of a grinder too, you know. So, yeah, but I love it. I love it. I mean, you know, even if you're in it and you're tired and you know you're stinky oftentimes, you know.
That's okay. It's rock and roll, brother.
Rock and roll doesn't always smell good.
That could be an album. Rock and roll doesn't always smell good. That could be an album. What is this? Is ecstasy? Right on, brother. Yeah. Oh, okay, man. I'm reading the chat.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's so great that we got to meet Eric and Rebecca on the Rise Up tour last year, and in Nashville recently, and so this will be number 3. It's gonna be awesome. But the family is growing, brother. The family is growing, and I just want to say congratulations to you on taking on the role of A&R at Big Records and bringing in all the new blood. It's just a beautiful thing. And I love your music so much, and hopefully we can get a little bit of stage time at maybe the pre or the post party at ISSA's and have a little bit of a jam.
I will radiate with you.
Baby, I'm ready.
Right on, man. All right, so hey, let's talk a little bit grander, right? Let's talk a little bit about the music biz, right? The music industry. In your humble opinion, what is, in all your experience, because you've seen it, like you said, where Paul Stanley in the 80s threw down a credit card, I don't think that happens that much anymore. So you've kind of been one extreme and then to today. What do you think is right about the music industry, and what do you think is wrong?
Well, I think what's right about the music industry is that now really there isn't really a lot of, I mean, unless you're at that, so there's this huge divide between the rich and the poor in society, but there's also a divide between the rich and the poor in the music industry.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, that big money, you know, it's still there. But people that are not in that big money zone, or, I mean, sometimes you can get a viral TikTok or something that all of a sudden blows you up a little bit, but never really lasts very long. But I think what's wrong is people having these ideas that being a rock star is still exists. Do you know what I mean? Like in the typical sense of being a rock star, of having the limo, of having the fancy cars and stuff like that. It's not really about that anymore. And so that's what's wrong, is that people have the right, and having a record company, of course, we run into this all the time, right? Where people have these, oh my God, I got a record deal, I made it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It just means you got to work twice as hard and spend more money.
I will say my conversations with a lot of the people that I do intake interviews for people who might benefit from our services, and I will say it's hard to break that connotation or that feeling from the movies and media where you see these crazy rock stars, like the movie Rockstar with Marky Mark. And it's just it's not like that exactly anymore. So that's part of my conversation, is explaining to people kind of how things sort of work today, and it's tough sometimes because we're just conditioned by seeing those movies and things like that, and of the big stars in the mansion. So it's a little bit difficult, but it's about the music, brother. It's about the music.
Yeah, I mean, so you asked me what the good part is, and the good part is that it's easier to make music. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Hello? Hi.
What do I got here?
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. I'm next door here,
Okay.
and I have to be able to get into the bathroom, and you've locked me out or something.
Okay, I can unlock it.
So if you can do that, that'd
Sure.
be great.
No problem.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
so much.
Rock and roll.
It's rock and roll. I'm actually in a dorm in a university. That's where I am right now. And so there's two doors. Let's gotta unlock it for this guy. Hang on a second.
That's funny. He's learning. This is awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning in, this is, and that was, Mr. Tim Steinruck from the Mighty One, going to serve the public. Do a quick favor, and he'll be right back in a moment. Good deed done for the day.
So there you go.
Good deed done, brother. Good deed done. So let's talk
So,
about. Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, just to finish that conversation. So the good part is that independent music has more influence than it did before. Okay, as you know, as both of us being very involved in independent music and the independent record industry, is that it is its own ecosystem. It has become its own ecosystem over the last few years. So there's a lot more access to the press. There's a lot more access to, like, there's less gatekeepers. Put it that way. There's less gatekeepers, right? Because I'm just like watching what's happening with Kick and Stones, right? So that wouldn't have been able to happen in the past, and so. And also, on the other end of things, music has an influence on society. It always has, but it was always sort of, its influence was what's the word I'm looking for? Its influence was shaped by those gatekeepers. Whereas now, people like you and I can go direct to audiences. And we can really have an impact. So that's the good part.
Yeah, I know, and even in that vein, I know the streaming services have been, very polarizing for a very long time. But I will say, no other time in history can you hit a button and your music goes to every corner of every region of the planet. So there is something good to the streaming services. I know this is not the forum to probably get into all that, but never before in time can anyone hit a button and your music's around the world in seconds.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
Yeah. So that there's lots of challenges and there's lots of negatives, but yeah, we're definitely in a time where there is an opportunity for independent artists to actually make a pretty decent living, but you've got to have something. You can't have just music that's entertaining. Your music has to have a message, and your music has to have some kind of social impact, and in order to be successful. Otherwise, it's like a bunch of burgers. You know what I mean? Like, they disappear pretty quick, but you can't really sink your teeth into it.
Yeah, right on. I get that. Okay. Fair enough. Well, I do know at some point here we're going to play one more of your songs. I don't think we're there just yet. But if I could ask you, so let's say 5 years from now, where do you see Tim Steinruck and the Mighty One? Like, what would be a goal that you're setting for yourself for the future? And it doesn't have to be one, but just where do you see? What would be the pinnacle? Where do you want to get to?
Obviously, I just really want to travel with it. Now, I want to bring my music and my message, anywhere around the world. But I really want to get to those bigger global stages, and I'm not even worried so much about just the rock shows. It's more about a place where I can be a positive influence on people's lives. You know what I'm saying? Where I always pride myself on, with my coaching and my music and everything, on being a transformative force.
Yeah.
And so wherever I can go to transform, that's where I'll go. I'm in service. I used to be about being the rock star. I'm about being in service. You know what I mean? And so there's really nowhere to go but forward, you know. And there's
Yeah.
no pinnacle. Would I love to play Wacken? Absolutely. Would I love to play Hellfest? Absolutely. Will I? Maybe I will. I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's not the end of the world. I've left all that behind.
Yep.
I've left all that behind, and it's not about ego anymore. It's about being in service to my fellow human.
Yeah, and you actually said that on one of our Monday night Big Records calls, that you're just going to give, and then whatever comes. It's just the way it's going to be. And I've tried to take a piece of that myself and try to learn a little bit from that. Whatever's going to come is going to come. And I will tell you right now what is about to come. I am very happy to announce that we are going to play another song from Mr. Tim Steinruck and the Mighty One. Enjoy.
Smart enough to let it go, but I don't care 'cause I don't know how it feels on the inside. To the end, to this lover's dream, all is dead, silent screams, and you see it on the outside. In the bottle, piece of my mind going down, but I'm not the kind trying to get control. Who gives a damn? I am, no, I can't hide. Laughing, crying, suicide. Don't wanna face it on my own. No, not today. Down the road, kicking stones, kicking them all away. Down the road, kicking stones, kicking them all away. Rowboat sunrise on the lake, I could swear I felt it shake. I could use a little shaking right now. Say I'm a fool, you can kiss my past. I'm living now and I'm living fast. I am the legend in my mind. I am whatever, man. Do what I do what I can. An easy little problem to have. I am, no, I can't hide. Laughing, crying, suicide. Don't wanna face it on my own. No, not today. Down the road, kicking stones, kicking them all away. Down the road, kicking stones, kicking them all away. Kicking them all away. Down the road, kicking stones, kicking them all away.
So for the third and final time this evening, oh hell freaking yes. Dude, you know what? As a fellow songwriter, and I use that term loosely, song dynamics are something that I do my best to put into tunes, right? And maybe that's not as important to other people, but as a songwriter, song dynamics are important to me. For the love of everything holy, that song has more dynamics. Just the roller coaster ride, and God, the piano lick is brilliant, but it's such a roller coaster ride. Was that something that was cognizant to you? And did you write that, or was it a writing of the team, or was that your song?
Oh, like I said, James, the keyboard player had that piece of music.
Yeah.
And that was sort of inspired it, along with my best friend and drummer saying the kicking stones stuff. And it just, the song that was huge at the time that was inspiring me was November Rain.
Yeah.
So in many ways, it was kind of patterned after that,
Yeah. The piano, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And the big guitar solo at the end and all that stuff, right? And I'm always, it always kind of blows me away watching it, being the observer in this, that the song is 6.5 minutes long.
That was my next question. Were you cognizant? That's pretty rare today. This isn't prog rock, right? This isn't Pink Floyd. That's a pretty rare thing to have a 6.5 minute song, even played on radio. That's very rare. Very rare.
Yeah, and and radio's loving it. So, it still works,
Look at talk. Dude, I was goose pimple or bumping, whatever the heck that word is.
I call them God bumps.
Yeah. The dynamics. Now, that's just something that stuck out, among a lot of things, but just the dynamics of that song. And I love that because it's just such a roller coaster ride, both physically, mentally, emotionally, lyrically. Yeah, that's I could see why that one's kind of somewhere long enough these days. Yeah. Go back to
well, everything is like fast food these days when it comes to songs. So I think it's good to put on a little bit of a buffet once in a while.
Well, I ate the hell out of that thing because that's like the 50th time I've heard that song. I'm gonna put that on my 100-inch. I'm gonna send you a little video. We'll see how.
Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait! I gotta come to your house to see that.
All the way in Philly, man. All the way in Philly.
Wow,
oh my goodness! Well, I'm so happy that was, I guess, the last song that we're gonna play this evening. However, I'd like to close with maybe one last concept, maybe one last question.
Sure.
What about next releases? What can your audience, what can your fans look forward to in the next months, weeks, years, whatever you got going on?
I think the next thing that's going to happen is one final song from Torture Rock and Roll that I want to put out, and it's called "When This Is Over," and which is the last song on the record. It's a perfect way to end the record, but it's also, I think, the perfect way to end this cycle of torture rock and roll. So working on a lyric video for that. The song is definitely a rocker, and so we started off in a very rocking way with "Coming On." That was the first music video that we did. It was a lyric video also, and so I want to just bookend this with another real rocker. And it was a song that was written during the pandemic, and it was about imagining what the world would be like when the pandemic is over, and it is. And so it's just perfect timing for that. And then we can move on to a lot of other stuff that's already in the pipe. It's already coming. Can't really talk about it too much right now, but there's some real surprises coming your way that you wouldn't expect from a guy like me. But they're coming, and but the next thing is to wrap up this album in a powerful, hard rockin' way. And When This Is Over is the next thing to look forward to.
Oh, right on. And when might that be coming? Any ideas?
I probably at the end of the summer. Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking September for that. Okay. And along with the release of the Torture Rock and Roll comic book.
I tell you what, that is something that I will be waiting for. I mean, who makes comic books today? You do.
Yeah.
You do.
And a vinyl. We got to do a vinyl. Torch of Rock and Roll has to come out on vinyl.
It needs to.
That's all going to happen too. That's
Right
all going to happen.
Right on. So, Mr. Tim Steinruck from the Mighty One, parting comments, last message for your audience and your fans. The floor is yours for the next few minutes.
What can I say except that I always want to inspire people to find out what their purpose is, what their reason is for being here. Everybody is born with a purpose. We're not just here to exist. We're not just here to survive. We're actually here to thrive. And even more than that, we all carry some kind of a special message within us. So anybody who's listening or watching this after the fact or listening right now, just check with yourself. Ask, what is my why? Why do I get up every morning? It's not just to go to work, and it's not just so you can have a few beers on the weekend and get together with family once in a while. There is something specific that you are here to do, and I think that's it's our duty as a human being to try to make this world a better place by living our purpose. Okay? So that's pretty well, that's what it is. Find your purpose, live your purpose, get up in the morning to be your purpose. We're all on social media. It's a great place. We all have a window to the world. Be inspiring with what you do. Don't just be a consumer, but be a contributor. You know what I mean? And we're all here in service. And what can I say?
You did.
Feel the fire.
You just
feel
did.
The fire. Keep it burning. Torch of rock and roll.
That is it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging with me, Michael Bate from the Michael Bate Band, and Mr. Tim Steinruck from the Mighty One. Remember, this was episode 1 of Blast Music 247 Blaster Rock and Metal Podcast, episode number 1, and I feel like we brought it. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
Love you so much, brother. See you later.
Peace, man.
Bye.